Hello YouTube, welcome to Big Time Nights. I'm Terrell, here for a review of Abigail. So Abigail, I've recently watched it. I do recommend you go out and see it, support it in theaters. It's a fun, enjoyable experience. So my review of it, it's a vampire movie, and it would have been nice if we didn't know that going in. Like the trailers and the movie poster itself kind of show that Abigail is a vampire. I think it would have been a really nice surprise to find out what was going on. Like, what's so special about this girl? Instead, I knew beforehand that she was already a vampire, so that took away some of the angst in my mind, the worry about the girl, that the child was being abducted and all that kind of stuff. I knew that she was fine. She was gonna be okay. So I wasn't like scared for her at all. And spoilers, like you're gonna find out that, you know, this is all a game for her. So to break down some of the characters in the movie, the protagonist Joey, who's played by Melissa Barrera, she is suited for these kind of roles, I think. Like the scream queen, like she's not really a scream queen, but she's really good in these horror movies. Like she has a good horror movie face. She looks good, drenched in blood. Probably the best right now. And I hope she gets more roles and whatnot, you know, but I think she might be getting blacklisted in Hollywood. So this movie, it's a fun, enjoyable experience, and it's a horror comedy. Some of the gimmicks you'll notice that a lot of movies do nowadays is they show a wide pan view, and then they show a character on one side, and then the other half of the screen is empty, but it's blacker blacks. So you could maybe kind of see something in the background, but maybe not. And they play with you a lot with that. And they do that throughout the movie, like a lot. I feel like that trope is overused. Abigail's strength in the movie was all over the place. And this could have been intentional or not. I think it was probably intentional because of the character Abigail herself. Like there were instances where she was beating on people, but she was hitting them like a little girl, you know. It didn't really affect them. Well, it was like getting punched by a little girl. But in other instances, she'll be strong enough to blow open a gated door or a cage, like blow it completely open with her strength alone. So I think she's just playing. And it makes sense because she's been alive for hundreds of years and she's really bored. And so what's the point of getting all these people together just to kill them off quickly? She wants to play with her food. So that makes perfect sense why she would do that. And just not kill them off right away. She's dancing as she's chasing people and whatnot. It's pretty funny. And the vampire tropes in the movie, it's pick and choose. Garlic is ineffective. Guns are ineffective. She plays the part where it might seem effective, but it's not. Like a gunshot to the head, she just wipes it away. But she plays the role. It might have worked, but no. And like she's never really restrained. She could break out her chains out of the gate at any point in time. It's all a game. It's all trickery for her. So gunshots, no. Garlic, no. The sun is still the best method. It should always be the best method. Tranquilizing her works with whatever they were tranquilizing her with. And okay, they tranquilize her. She's out. She's legitimately out. She can't fight against it. She's not faking it or anything. They could have easily killed her right there. But because of the plot, they want to use her as a bargaining chip. But I felt like they already knew that wouldn't work because the father, well, like one of the characters established that the father was some ruthless, evil, really evil guy. Most likely, you know, like a Dracula kind of figure that you kind of assume. They realized like the father didn't really care for her anymore. And based on that assumption alone, why would you think to even dare use her as a bargaining chip? Even if the father did care, using her as a bargaining chip, you're just gonna put yourself out there. And it's I don't know. It would have been better off just after knowing she's a vampire, it'd been better off to just get rid of her. The way vampires die is probably one of the best like ways I've seen vampires die in any movie, TV, or whatever. Like I watch Buffy, and so when vampires die, they basically just turn into dust. Here, no, you gotta be prepared if a vampire dies right in front of you because they explode with some force. So if you stab them, you gotta just brace up, be prepared, because that will most likely knock you over. Which brings me to the gore. The gore in the movie is great. The wounds look realistic, but the way these wounds affect the characters is not realistic at all. I understand that some of the characters have like that vampire blood in them, and they can recover, but some of them who don't, you know, they get wounded, and I understand like adrenaline, but if you have a significant leg wound, I don't see you moving at all. Let alone kind of running, hopping, whatever. I just don't see it. This movie has one of the nastiest, disgusting scenes I have seen, with human filth, waste, and all that kind of stuff. And another trope I hate is when characters are surrounded by just something really nasty and disgusting, and they scream and they get some of that disgusting stuff in their mouth. I'm like, why would you, like, it's so nasty. Why would you open your mouth in any way to let whatever that is sip into your mouth? I hate that. Like, come on, like, I would not. So Alicia Weir, who plays Abigail, I think she did a really good job. You could tell she definitely has some skills as a ballerina, but she did a great job playing a child who's playing a child, but the child is actually several centuries old. So you can tell that the way her dialogue is manipulating people to doing what she wants, because she's acting like a child and she looks like a child, but she's really not. She's using like all her years of experience to be able to manipulate adults. She did a very good job there. Dan Stevens, who's also in it, you might know him from Legion if you're one of the people who watch that show, and I am, and it's a really good show. I think it's pretty underrated, very psychological show. He played Frank, and he did his best Jack Nicholson Joker impression, especially in the second half of the film, where he gets very maniacal, and I think he had a lot of fun doing this. He was trippy. He was like crazy. Kevin Durand, who's also in this, you might know him from the show called The Strain, which is another very good vampire show. It kind of tailed off at the end, but it's like disgusting, and it is a very fun show. I do recommend that watch as well. But he plays like the lovable giant, and honestly, I was rooting for him more than anyone else in the movie. I really liked his character, and he was pretty funny as well. Another thing is, they kind of treated vampire bites like zombie bites. You get bitten anywhere, then you become like under the vampire spell, basically. I know that doesn't happen for like Buffy and many other vampire shows I watch, but I think that might apply to some other kind of lores and whatnot. But yeah, a vampire bite is basically like a zombie bite. You don't want to be bitten anywhere, or you're gonna be under the spell, and it's pretty much over for you unless you kill the host in time. But that doesn't mean you're turned. You're turned the traditional way, bitten on the neck, and then they feed you their blood. It's a fun ride. It kind of drags at the end. The movie was close to 2 hours long, and I think it could have been helpful to shave off maybe 10 to 15 minutes of it. As far as vampire movies, I do not think it's a classic, but I do think it's still worth an enjoyable watch. I like movies like this. It's not a sequel or anything. It's just a one-off kind of movie. I enjoy it, and I think you'll have fun too in the theaters. And like I said, I give Abigail a 7 out of 10. So go watch it. Peace out.